Hey team, and welcome to the 5-minute guide for Balance Druid. The Balance Druid calls forth the power of both the sun and the moon to empower its spells using both in perfect harmony. It's a fairly simple caster which has really great cleave when enemies are stacked within 8 yards, so it works best with a tank that you know. There are currently 2 talent builds for the Balance Druid, one for dungeons and one for raids. The dungeon talent setup focuses on giving us great stacked cleave with Fury of Elune and Incarnation for that huge burst AoE, as well as letting us help out the tank with Force of Nature, which will spawn treants to tank for a while, especially great during reaping waves. The raid build focuses down more on single target with Starlord, and shooting stars helps our cleave on targets that are more spread out, with the alternate, Fury of Elune, being unable to damage spread targets efficiently. This gives our cleave more power in situations where the adds are not on the boss, which tends to happen frequently in raids. Balance uses Solar Wrath, Lunar Strike, Sunfire, and Moonfire as our basic abilities to generate astral power, as well as various talents which also help out. When unempowered, these 2 are more geared towards dealing AoE and cleave damage, and these 2 are more geared towards dealing single target damage. Empowerments buff their weaknesses here for each. Once we have enough astral power, we can start to cast Star Surge, which will grant us a stack of Lunar and Solar Empowerment. Lunar Empowerment will make our next Lunar Strike deal more damage and have a shorter cast time, and Solar Empowerment will make our next Solar Wrath deal a burst of AoE damage and have a shorter cast time. We have a passive that will also generate these empowerments, Eclipse. This will make it so that each time we cast either a Solar Wrath or a Lunar Strike, we have a 20% chance of generating an empowerment for the one that we didn't cast. There are a few key goals that we want to keep in mind when playing the Balance Druid. Keeping our Sunfire and Moonfire dots up on the target as much as possible, generating and spending astral power, avoiding overcapping, and generating and spending lunar and solar empowerments, also avoiding overcapping. Keeping in mind that there's a limit to 3 of each, so try not to cast Star Surge until you have 2 or less of each. Now let's start to go over the specs rotations for both AoE and single target. Firstly, single target. And the highest priority here is to maintain and apply our Sunfire and Moonfire dots on the target. After that, we want to begin casting Lunar Strike and Solar Wrath to generate astral power. And this is a bit tricky, but once you get it down, it's not a problem. When casting unempowered against a single target, Solar Wrath beats Lunar Strike and will be our default filler spell. Against 2 or more, Lunar Strike cleaves and will become our default filler spell. Once we have the astral power, we want to be casting Star Surge to spend it and generate empowerments. When we get to spending empowerments, it becomes a bit more difficult, but just keep in mind, not overcapping empowerment charges is one of the most important things as a Balance Druid, so we want to be spending both types of empowerments by casting both spells, trying our best not to overcap on astral power in the process. It's a system of juggling both of these resources. I'll show a little priority list on screen to demonstrate the power of each ability. Pretty much, Empowered Lunar Strike is the strongest single target ability, followed by Empowered Solar Wrath, then regular Solar Wrath. We won't be casting an unempowered Lunar Strike on a single target. Now for AoE, and it only kicks in at 3 or more targets for balance, and only if you don't have the Arcanic Pulsar trait. If you do, pretty much don't need to worry about AoE except for in reaping waves, so just keep on trucking with that single target rotation. The AoE is not hugely complicated for balance, and mostly just includes using Starfall to consume astral power rather than Star Surge, still applying and maintaining those dots on as many targets as possible, and still casting both of our main spells when we have the empowerments for them, using Lunar Strike as our default filler. The opener is also pretty simple for balance. At 2.5 seconds before the pull, we want to start casting Solar Wrath, making sure we're at max range. After that, we apply our dots, then cast Solar Wrath until we're at 40 astral power, activating Incarnation or Celestial Alignment, and then immediately casting a Star Surge, and continuing with our normal rotation. Now for a few rapid fire tips for balance, some of the Azerite and talent based stuff. If you have Arcanic Pulsar, you want to pull some astral power before casting that 9th Star Surge, so that you can make the most of the short Celestial Alignment window that you get from the trait. If you have Streaking Stars, try to cast Solar Wrath every second ability while in Celestial Alignment, to ensure that each cast will be a unique spell. This includes that Arcanic Pulsar window. If you have Starlord, try to pull astral power towards the end of the Starlord buff, so you can immediately cast 2 Star Surges to get the most uptime on the highest stacks on the next one. The Balance Druid is simple, but it still has a few mechanics to keep the mind going, and it's relatively free of RNG, so give it a go if this sounds like it's up your alley. Anyway team, that has been the Balance Druid. If you enjoyed, be sure to subscribe and check out some future videos. I upload twice a week, Thursday and Sunday. Feel free to leave a comment, or come hang out with me and the rest of the team on Twitch, where I'm live almost every night. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope it was helpful. I'll see you in the next one.